Rupert Isaacson from the Horseboy Foundation. We're very fortunate that Rupert made some time for us. Rupert's a world-renowned author. I think your book was on the bestseller list. Was it called The Horseboy?
The Horseboy, yes.
Yeah, for a good long while. But there's another book, I understand, you're going to be bringing out, and we'll certainly be showing it on ACTHA's website and on ACTHA Monthly. Tell us about it.
The new book, it's the sequel to The Horseboy. It's called The Long Ride Home. Those of you that read The Horseboy might recall that my son and I rode together in the same saddle across Mongolia, my son being autistic, and came back with a very different situation, a much better situation. And as a result of that, started the Horseboy Foundation and this place, the new Trails Centre, etc. The Long Ride Home tells the story of what happened next. The shaman of the reindeer people, who was the last shaman that we went to for healing in Mongolia, up in Siberia, told me that I had to do 3 more journeys to confirm the healing. So we did, one in Africa, one in Australia, and one right here in America on the Navajo reservation. Pretty much all of them involved riding on the trail from healer to healer, and some of the crazy adventures that happened along the way. Please read the book. If you buy the book, all the proceeds go to helping children through the Horseboy Foundation. So we really do ask you to engage in the story. And if you have similar stories about how being out there on horseback with your kids has helped ameliorate some crisis within your family, please tell us. We'd like to know. The book is called The Long Ride Home. You can find it on the ACTHA website. You can find it on our website, horseboyfoundation.org or horseboyworld.com, or you can go on Amazon. Thank you.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful book. I'm going to enjoy reading it, that's for sure. The trips, I'd be remiss if I let you off the hook too easily. These 3 trips that you had to take. I mean, was there a theme?
Yes.
Why did you have to take them? What was it that you had to learn from them, or was it a learning experience?
Well, as we know, it's always a learning experience. And anytime you throw your leg over a horse, you're going to have a learning experience. We know this. However, the reason we made these journeys was because at the initial journey that we did in Mongolia on horseback, from shaman to shaman, from traditional healer to traditional healer, looking for healing solutions for our family crisis around autism, worked very well. My son lost his neurological tantrums. He became toilet trained, and his inability to make friends, those 3 things he left behind him in Mongolia. However, the last shaman in Mongolia told me that I still had to make 3 more journeys over 3 more years to confirm the healing, to make sure it stuck. He said he didn't mind where I went. And now he knew that I was from Africa originally, my family. So he said, why don't you start there and sort of see where the wind takes you. So the first journey takes us to Namibia with the Bushmen hunter-gatherers of the Kalahari Desert, who are immensely good riders. They hunt off horseback with spears. Absolutely incredible riders. The second journey was in the rainforests of northern Australia. But as part of getting up there, we had to do some of it on horseback. And then on the Navajo reservation, here, the final one, with an amazing healer from the Navajo tribe, there was an incredible ride down into Canyon de Chelly through a flood, which I don't want to be a spoiler, but it was pretty darn dramatic. What happened on those healing journeys, on those healing trail rides, you'll read in the book. Suffice to say here, I think everybody finds their own healing this way, by getting on their horse and going out on the trail. And I'm just so happy that ACTHA is one of the organizations in the world that promotes this, because not enough people do it.
Without being too Pollyanna or sugarcoating it, I mean, before having your son and having to deal with his autism, I mean, you were playing polo, if I remember right, and having pretty
jumping,
much
everything. Yeah, you can.
I mean, you were just having the gay old
rider.
life. At what point was there a turning point that you can think of where the mindset became changed from one of "why did this happen to me, poor me," to "wow,
Yes.
this has made me who I am now, and maybe that's not so bad.
Absolutely. I am immensely grateful to autism. Autism, I think, was the best thing personally that has ever happened to me. What do I mean by that? There is no human happiness, Tom, without service. This is one of the great secrets of life, I think. That it doesn't matter how much money you make or don't make. It doesn't matter how successful you are or aren't. Happiness exists slightly outside of these things. Happiness is about fulfillment, and we are social animals that are mostly fulfilled through our service to each other. Autism forced me into this, whether I wanted it or not, and all it has done is augment my quality of life and the quality of soul to a level that I didn't necessarily think was possible. And as a rider, I am so much better as a rider than I was before. I was an okay sport rider before. I made my living at it and so on. But with horseboy work, when we realised that it was riding horses in collection that was giving us the neurological response and the communication response from the kids, I realised I suddenly had to get serious about dressage. And I went on an apprenticeship that took me first down to Portugal to work with classical riders down there, and then all over Europe and all through America on this quest to find how could I produce really, really, really good therapy horses that could work in this collection at a really high standard, just to serve kids, not to win at competitions, training horses in piaffe, in passage, and all these amazing things, so that a child could learn maths, so that a child could speak, so that a child could tell his mother that he loved her. Being able to harness a set of skills that I already had to this degree and augment them to this degree through service to autism has brought me nothing but happiness. I'm so immensely grateful to the horse. I'm so immensely grateful to special needs. I'm so immensely grateful to my son. And I will, like ACTHA, remain in service till the day I die.
One last question, if you wouldn't mind. Do you consider yourself, I mean, I look at a lot of the teaching professionals that we've been so fortunate to get to know and up and close and personal because of our role in ACTHA, and I hear your stories, and I feel like I'm really talking to a teaching professional, that you are teaching professional techniques for dealing with autism and other physical needs, and yet it's still through a very sophisticated relationship and mechanics as well between you and the horse. Is that a misstatement, or is that true?
No, it's definitely true. I think what separates us from regular horse trainers at Horseboy Foundation is the reason that we're doing it. We're not doing it for sport. We're not doing it to win ribbons, and we're not doing it for personal prestige. We're not doing it so that we can go out and do demos of classical dressage, even though we do that stuff to raise money. The reason we're doing it is so that we can use those movements to create oxytocin in a child's body that will promote communication, that will heal his anxiety, that will open the brain to learning. And it's because of this and our commitment to being as excellent as we can be in service to these children that we've had to humble ourselves to really go and learn the classical riding stuff in a way that perhaps we would not have been as motivated to before. I mean, to really put our riding egos aside and say, you know what, we need to relearn the whole thing. We need to relearn the whole thing from scratch. And we remain forever students because we have to be, because these kids, these families need this service, and we need to create a way that your average rider can learn that we need to create a way that the average rider can learn that dressage in particular and riding horses in collection is not for some higher priesthood of riders over there, and it's not just for competition. It's to create the most balanced, best of service therapy horse you possibly can. When it comes to trail riding, of course, it also creates the best trail horse you possibly can. But what we had to do was realize that even though we were effective sport riders, we didn't know as much as we needed to know to serve these children. So we went right back to the drawing board and started again from scratch. And that has led us on a very beautiful journey, working with some of the world's best trainers. There's a man in Portugal who, if you have not heard of him, you should know him. He is called Luis Valença. Go to this website, valençaequestriantours.com, and look at this man. He is probably the greatest living exponent of classical dressage alive on the planet today. He's a very, very humble man. He was Nuno Oliveira's pit student, those of you who know who Nuno Oliveira was. What they're doing, they're in their place in Lisbon, have a horse boy program. But what they do with the horse is very, very beautiful. And they make this available to everybody, and they do it through love. And I think at the end of the day, that's all any of us in the horse world can ever hope to do. To make this very beautiful thing that we are privileged to experience in our lives available through love to anyone who needs it. That's our mission.
Well, thank you very much, Rupert, for letting us climb inside that mind of yours, and it's been a privilege.
Thank you so much.